Guys, I'm here from Vienna and I'm calling for everybody to join NATO. This is very important, yeah, and I hope I can. We have now Denmark already fully in the EU integrated security structures, and we have Finland and Sweden on the way, and Austria should join NATO immediately. In a four-party consensus against the nationalists to join NATO, this is the better way to do it. And it opens the way for peace in the Balkans, because Serbia is then isolated. Ultimately, Serbia should join as well. That's very logical. But Kosovo and Bosnia could, in one sweeping package, like Finland and Sweden, Denmark, have changed their security structure. Now Austria, Bosnia and Kosovo to be in NATO. This is the logic of peace in the Balkans and in Europe. So that's the Balkan enlargement of NATO, and this is my proposal. The three countries, Kosovo, Bosnia, where by the way the Austrian soldiers are securing them. And these three countries to be united in NATO with purpose and clarity now. And of course that can be the deal which can be offered to Erdogan, because he should be in favor of three new allies, especially Bosnia and Kosovo, and Austria can move into this package. He will maybe not like it, but I hope that our Kosovo and Bosnian friends will have a word with him. And as he is also very powerful in Serbia, I think the reluctance and the resistance he could move away, or send some Bayraktars to Belgrade. No, that was not so seriously, because we want them to be allies and to be happy with us. And of course, as the power of peace, I hope that my Belgrade friends will also see the light in the coming years. But the idea is obviously then that we have one big sweeping, I call it the monarchy enlargement, the imperial enlargement. Whatever the name you can give, but I think it's the absolute good logic here. I'm very close actually. That's a very nice view here over there, Schönbrunn. I have to cross the street here, a bit wild. And here, this is my approach. And how we can really squeeze Austria into NATO, because they are neutrals and the socialists and the Russian paid agents in all parties, they are probably against that. I'm sure they are against, and they have brainwashed the population into submission. So how we do it? We work with the newly arrived people from Bosnia and Kosovo. They are for NATO, and with all other new Austrians who are also for NATO, because they were not brainwashed in the Austrian socialist school system, where they were treated in the Stalin narrative of neutrality, and they are not in these identity issues, yeah, because many Austrians have this problem to confused identities, and they have somehow learned to be Austrian by neutrality, as if we would have not our own heritage to be proud of, distinct of Germany. Yeah, this is a big problem, this Austrian identity based on neutrality, as if we would be the peace-loving people who have invented the myth of their own identity, basically based on neutrality. And if you cannot explain Austria as a multicultural nation in the heart of Europe, with its own right of national existence, then you have to add such neutrality things, as if that would be a defining item of a state. Yeah. And if you are afraid to discuss your own ethnicity and multicultural existence and this openness and this kind of American melting pot in the heart of Europe, if you have to go then always into national identity questions, and if you build a state identity only about neutrality, then you are the victim of Stalin. And in the mind, he is still the winner, because he has liberated Vienna, because the Americans allowed him to and supplied him, because we should always remember that it's the American Land-Lease program which made the mobility of the Soviet troops possible. It's American capitalism and American ingenuity, engineers, and the enormous resources of America which were deployed from the Battle of Moscow to the Battle of Stalingrad to the Battle of Kursk to the Battle of Budapest and Berlin. In all efforts, it was the enormous generosity, wisdom, and possibility of American capitalism which made the Soviet victory in the East possible. And who denies that fact, denies history, and falls into the trap of Stalin's propaganda. It was a major mistake to allow him to be supplied until 45, because he went on this war on conquest, and ultimately what he couldn't conquer anymore, like Austria, partly he had, he then wanted to neutralize, which he ultimately did, his successors did in 55. Yes, this is the reality, this is the truth, the rest is myth, invented by the propagandists of Stalin and Soviet Union in the Austrian left. And it was then useful for the haters of America in all parties, for the anti-Semites, for the anti-capitalists and the anti-Americans, which is one big kind of unity. It's often to be understood anti-Americanism, anti-capitalism, anti-Semitism, protectionism, this hatred of modernity and Western Christianity and anti-Semitism. This is all one big philosophy of hate, which we have to reject if you believe in freedom, Europe, modernity, rationality. Good. Unfortunately, only a few people do in Austria, and that's why they hate NATO, America, capitalism, and all decency and rationality. That's the truth of Austria, and that's why we stay neutral, and that's why it's so difficult to explain the NATO agenda. Thanks a lot for now. More to come from Pax Europiana. Bye.